Mic check, 1 2 1 2, and we are live. Hey, how's everybody doing? Thanks for dropping by. Splinterlands Saturday morning live stream, my 143rd, working on 3 years of going live on Saturday morning with the Saturday Morning Stand-Up to talk everything Splinterlands. As always, there's a lot going on. If you caught my episode at the end of the year and into December, you saw I did a wrap up of 2025, and it kind of went over everything the team was up to in 2025, and the game received a lot of updates. So we are starting to see a few things trickle in as it's the second episode in January. We are on the 10th of January now, 2026. So I hope everyone has gotten their year off to a good start. While we're just right up front, I want to mention that Blaze had put up an announcement yesterday. And just to let you know, if you didn't see it, that Frontier Jackpot cards are coming. Starting January 13th, the Frontier format daily reward chests offer a chance to win exclusive Frontier Jackpot cards featuring ultra rare variants and a true one-of-one legendary waiting to be pulled. So he put that up in the Splinterlands announcements section. So if you're interested in checking out the details of that, basically they showed that everybody liked the jackpot cards in the other, in the other modes. So they took it to Frontier and they designed some new cards for it. And the cards are he threw some up in eye candy. Let me see if I can pull that up. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the eye candy section. But he threw up a few there, and they were pretty interesting, So definitely adding more to Frontier, starting the year off. Let me know in chat what you think of these. Just like other Frontier mode cards, the cards are going to cost a little bit more mana to put out and be a little bit less powerful than what our normal cards are. But hey, you're getting them for free, right? So who's going to argue, So there is that. I just wanted to go ahead and start off with that since it was newsworthy, since he dropped that yesterday. Let's see who is in chat. And I put this question up. Let me know what you've been up to in Splinterlands this week, and if you have any good pulls. To answer that, you know what? I've been playing a little bit of Dungeon Cities this week after the announcement last week. And this week, my primary interaction with Splinterlands has really been with land. I bought a couple cards to upgrade a couple different plots of my land, and that will be done. I am going to actually do a video on that, and I'm waiting for them to max out so I can get my max production numbers. But so I'll be doing that tomorrow. So we're at 6 days. I'm not going to harvest today. I want to get my max production numbers when they max out. And then I've got 2 cards to upgrade and that's been my slow evolution of improving my land. I started off pretty good, but as I acquired more land, it was harder to fill all the land. And I just kind of slowed down on it, but I am making steady progress. So that's what I did in Splinterlands this week. But lots of new stuff to talk about. Crypto Beaver's in the house. Welcome, Beaver. And one of the other things on my list going into the new year is finding an add-on for OBS that actually works with emojis. This add-on I've got going on is called Twidget, and that's the reason why you can see whenever I click on it, you can see the comments I put up on screen, but for some reason, it doesn't like emojis. I need to find a fix for that in 2026 because every time I see it, it bugs me. Crypto Beaver says, I have been upgrading my Exemplar now at level 14. Need a lot more glint to make that card a Splinterland beast. I upgraded it when it originally came out. I haven't done anything with mine this week. Well, that's my avatar. My Exemplar is like this, and my next intent is to give it another melee damage. I wanted it to have magic damage. I wanted it to have enough shield to absorb at least one hit. I wanted to have a little bit of health and a little bit of speed, so that's why I've been spacing those out. So my next intent is I've got it to level 36, and I'm going to add another melee damage to this because I also put poison and charge on it. And to be frank with you, I'll be real with you. I put poison and charge on it before I noticed that charge only was for melee. But either way, I think it's a good combination. I haven't used it for anything. I guess we're still waiting for something to use it with. If they have battles currently for the exemplars, let me know in chat. Maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, I just you know what I did? I did this week. I bought one of those new backgrounds. I can tell you that. What'd I do? I clicked on it in the background change. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I bought one of those new backgrounds that they have for sale. And I guess you can go under shop, and then they put a whole nother tab here, or a variable under the drop down called avatar. And then you can buy your fancy backgrounds now. Now you got to watch that some of them are for sale for Glint, and some of them are for actually DEC. I bought the fire one for DEC just because I thought it looked the coolest, just for my dwarf guy. I didn't buy any of the frames to go underneath yet because I didn't find one I liked good enough. I still don't like the fact that the dwarf, I mean, I understand the whole idea of a dwarf being small, but he doesn't, there's so much headroom in this photo or this artwork that I just don't like it. I think he should be moved up a little bit, or the character should be made a little bit bigger. Okay, that's, sometimes you do stuff and then you remember that you do stuff. So that's what I've been doing. Crypto Beaver says, have you guys been unlocking some SPS for the new mini set? Have we seen the launch promo yet? I have not seen a launch promo. I have not unlocked any SPS for the purpose of buying those packs. I will probably buy a few, but I'm not going to be a heavy investor in those small set packs. My main focus, and I've been real about this because I think that there's so many different things that you can do in Splinterlands that unless you are a rich guy with nothing else to do with your money, you can't have it all. I've chosen to go in and increase my land holdings, and that's what I've been doing slowly since I started buying land, right? So yeah, like I said, I bought 2 cards, one rare gold foil max level Chaos Legion, and 1 common. And the common, not that you guys might really care, but the common is going to go on one of my grain producing lands, and the rare is going to also go on a grain producing land, but in one of my other regions. So just bringing things up a little bit. OFG's in the house. Welcome, OFG. Thanks for dropping by. I saw you had a stream earlier. During that point, actually, when your stream went live, I was still in bed because I was being lazy. I'm feeling a lot better than what I was last week. I've been battling that cold all week, and my voice isn't still 100%, but I'm feeling a lot better than what I was last week, that's for sure. Gathering says, good morning, happy Saturday, still working on land and grinding Frontier packs on my accounts. Excited for jackpot cards to make the daily grind more fun. Yeah, that's, they're just adding, they came out with Frontier and all those different modes, which has really helped out the new player experience over 2025, and they're just adding to it. So I did see that they did add one extra... they added one extra little chapter there in the Academy campaign, but it was just about making your making your Exemplar and Avatar up. And I had already done that, and then I noticed they added a new one there, so I went in and it just auto-completed. So I'm looking forward, though, to more chapters of that, or the chapter 2 or whatever, what have you. Let's see here. Book 2, that's what they're calling it. So I like the idea, because a lot of games have these it's basically rolling content that comes out on a monthly basis or every 2 weeks basis. That's new. It keeps the game a little bit fresh, gives people something to do. It's also a way for the creatives on the team to tell a story and develop a storyline for the game, which I think helps the game out myself. Some people would argue with me, but it's a fantasy game, right? It's a fantasy card game. It needs a storyline. It needs a setting. It needs characters. We need a history, what's going on, and they've especially developed that during 2025. So I love to see that. Wibble's here. Welcome, Wibble. Gathering says, not sure how many mini pack sets I will go for. Probably just buy the singles. Paul is here. Thanks for dropping by, Paul. Bolts 85 is in the house. Hey, Bolts, I got my energy drink. Doombot's here. Welcome, Doombot. Thanks for dropping by. Hardy Stonefish is here. Welcome. Gathering says, jackpot cards are limited, so many hold a little value. Yeah, that's for sure. There's not too many of them given out. It's just a very small amount. Doombot says, looking forward to the maintenance this week. Jackpot Foundation cards are a great way to attract players. I agree. Anything to keep the Frontier mode, expanding, getting better, promoting value of playing, like that. I'm all for it. Druid's Blood is here. Hello. Gathering says, still working on my land workers as well. Seems like I am always rearranging them. I try not to rearrange mine too much. Largely what I've been doing lately is pulling, let's go to a land card. Let's go to production. Let's see here. Largely what I've been doing, this is not going to be a good example, this particular plot. Sorry, I lost my, I thought I had a good example, but, okay, so I have, actually this is wood, and I did put one of the newer land cards on here, but for example, I bought another one of these cards, and I'm going to replace this gin I have here. So it'll give me a couple more 1,000 production points, and then I'll be able to probably either sell or keep that gin in my collection. I think that's a good strong card anyway. It's a gold foil. But largely what I've been doing is going into my land that I have the DEC staked out on already and gradually improving. Like this will be 924 production points, will move up to 3,080. And it's just gradually, and I still do have some land that doesn't even have anything staked on it. I have 3 lands here, and the next one in line is going to be this grain one, to get the grain one up and running. But the whole idea is to, modify the ones I actually have staked out with DEC, and then upgrade them, and then use the cards that roll off those lands on other lands that, they would be better served on. That's what I've been doing. Lady Sharon's in the house. Welcome, Sharon. Says, good morning. What I've been up to, I met with Ime and he showed me OBS on my new computer and he helped me set it up earlier in the week. And I did a first Twitch live stream last night on the computer. Well, hope it went well. I was watching a movie with my daughter and wife last night. Then I kind of went to bed a little bit early. Yeah, still trying to, get over everything, but hope it went well. OBS, as far as being a streamer, has a little bit of a learning curve, and there's a lot you can do with it. I use it probably just for basics, but it's one of those things, just like anything, you use it and you get used to it and understand that they do have plugins and add-ins that you can download. Like I was talking about this little one that shows the quotes and what people are saying up on the stream, and you can add it and just get used to it. I've been using it for 3 or 4 years now, and not a pro at it, but you learn as you go. So Gathering says, nice. I need to get an up OBS as well. Yeah, Gathering had mentioned that you might want to start live streaming or something. OFG says, love the announcement. Very cool addition to the Frontier mode. I agree. Sharon says, foundation cards in the jackpot sounds interesting. I've only bought a few chests and tend to be disappointed. Yeah, same with me. I've been every week, whenever, or at the end of every season, whenever I use my glint for stuff, I'll go into the rewards and I'll usually buy like one ultimate chest. And then I'll buy like one legendary draw and maybe 5 epics and maybe 25 rares and maybe 50 commons or something like that. The whole idea is just to give myself a spread of things that I'm getting out of my glint on a bi-weekly basis. Just the overall idea is just to gradually improve my reward card set. And then, the ultimate chest is maybe once in a while I'll get something, right? But historically speaking, I've not been big on chests because I've got terrible luck with chests. I would love to. In fact, I thought about buying some more of that beaver card. One of the beaver guys gave me one, and I was thinking about leveling it up. Has anybody played with that card yet? Is it a good play card? It's under extra. This is the guy I'm talking about, Busy Beaver. I was thinking about leveling it up to level 2. Of course, it would be cost prohibitive to go to level 8, but at level 8, I know this is off on a tangent, just where my brain was going. It does have Reckless, okay? So it does have Stun, Protect, Repair, and Armored Strike. So it seems like a good kind of support card. It's got enough armor to absorb 1 hit. It's got a decent amount of health, and it's got mediocre speed right there for 6 mana. 3 damage. I don't know. Maybe one of those matches where melee can attack from any location. Seems like a good support card to me. Just random thoughts. Karen's here. Welcome, Karen. Hope your year got off to a good start. Says, hello all. Did everyone get the new avatar background? It's pretty cool and better than the plain ones. I saw that and I got it, but I did not switch it in because, like I said, I had bought this new fire one. Yeah. I mean, I was just going back and forth. I'm like, oh, it's something different, to do. So. But yeah, to what she was talking about, they actually, if you complete that campaign mode, it gives you a, does it show it? Well, this is let's skip this. I like the artwork and the storyline they put into this. So, I thought I claimed this. No, the one before this, it was a new background. Oh, I see what's happening. I don't know. Let's see here. Know thyself is what we're talking about. So it's not going to enlarge it, but it looks like a castle. I do agree. I like that better than the plain ones. I like that. I'm not a big fan of those plain card backgrounds. Sorry, art team. You're generally, I believe you've done a great job this past year, but the plain backgrounds I just don't really like a whole lot. Wibble says swap charge for wing break. Doombot says gone with a fire background on my Exemplar for the main account. Free foundation backgrounds on my alt. Yeah, I'm not buying a whole lot for my alt. My alt is what it is. It's existed since I just started shifting leftover cards I had on my main account. It plays in the silver range, and I do keep it going with Archmage. It probably doesn't make back what I spend on it to keep it going in Wild, but I like the people in my my guild, so I'm just trying to pull my weight, but I'm not spending a whole lot of money just to keep it to improve it. I am spending the DEC to keep it going, in Wild, and I am improving by using the glint to improve the cards and stuff, but I'm not buying cards specifically for it or putting money into like the Exemplar avatar and stuff. So Lady Sharon says, yes, I went back and did the additional little scenes again to get it. Only thing is I only got soulbound Frontier cards, which are a bit useless to me now. Well, yeah, I mean, the Frontier cards are limited in level, and their main purpose is to get people into the game, show them what the game's like, and let them try it out, and give you a chance to try out the game, see if you like it. If you like it, you just graduate into Modern. Then you have to get used to, buying packs and renting and all this other stuff. But it's definitely 100% better than what it was before Frontier for new players. That's for sure. OFG says he sent GTM a link in Discord. That video should help you. He has more. They're just talking back and forth. Ike is in the house. Welcome. Says afternoon all. Views on the new info and land channel on announcement. Views on the new info and land. I see what you're meaning. I didn't see. Let's check out the info that you're talking about. I am not in that top. What do they call that? Land Barons channel. I only have half the amount, or a little bit better than half the amount needed to be a land baron. So my 26 plots doesn't count. Let's see. Okay, so Wibble, let's just take a look at this. This is a lot. This is in the land channel if you're interested. Cryptomancer, apparently it's, this just goes to the land barons. This does not go to any of us else who spent thousands of dollars on land anyway, but don't happen to have 50 plots of land. But thanks to some people for reposting it. Says, Happy New Year. Let's see, I'm back from my Christmas vacation. My immediate priority for the next week or so will be finishing off the small cooldown potions project that I started just before my vacation. So being able to create the cooldown potions. After some internal discussions, we have decided to call it Phoenix Ash. Interesting. Phoenix Ash will reduce cooldown, card cooldown for both land when you remove workers from land plots and survival mode when that format of play gets reactivated. Most of the front end coding has been completed. The remaining bit of work is on the back end hooking. Okay, so he's working on those cooldown potions. After the Phoenix Ash project is finished, I will be turning my attention to the next big thing, quote unquote. This will be the introduction of buildings as opposed to work sites. Okay, we've talked about this before. Some of the new people may not know about this, but if you're putting money into land, I would say go back and read the white papers, all the way from 1 to 1.75 to 2.0. And some of the stuff's old. A lot of the stuff's old. Some of it's happened already. Some of it's changed. But if you're going to put money into the project, I would say know what we're talking about. So Let's see. And everything that goes along with them, leveling, building in the box, more resources. Specs for this next phase of land are still being firmed up, and internal discussions to nail down details are ongoing. So I need to necessarily be vague about it. Another priority for 2026 will be reviewing and refreshing the Land 2.0 white paper. Like I said, some of that stuff's old. While our intent is to honor the white paper as much as possible, it was written a long time ago, and some parts of it may need to change or be adjusted going forward. Okay, to answer Ike's question, I like the sound of it. You know me, I've been on board with playing the land game since it started pretty much. It's taken a long time to get where we're going. For those who are newer to the land game, there's a difference between a work site, which is what we have now, and a building. And you look in the white paper, and there's a description, but basically some work sites are going to be replaced with buildings as they take the raw materials we have now and produce other things. Okay, so you have a land that's producing wood. Well, there may be a work site that takes that wood and produces lumber out of it. That's just an example, right? Maybe you have a work site that produces ore, and you're going to have a building that takes that and makes iron bars out of it, something like that. So they're building this production schedule. If you've ever played a land resource management game, you always have different buildings, and you level up those buildings, and they can produce different things, and it gradually makes more levels to the game. So it also adds more cost to the game. So, I've been heavily critical about continually adding more cost to the land game, because at this point I've got 26 plots, I believe, and I'm thousands of dollars into the game, right? And I like the idea of the game progressing. I just don't like the idea of the continued costs adding up. Every new advancement to the land game equals a lot more costs. I know I'm going to rile some people up and step on some toes. Come at me, bro. But I put thousands of dollars into this already, and I'm making a few bucks here and there. But whenever I sell off resources, anyway, the idea is to continually advance the game, make more steps, more things we can build with the natural resources, instead of just harvesting the resources and then once in a while, like in this example of this last year, using them to create cards. We create other things, and more things are going to come into the game, but they need different buildings. So you're going to have, instead of, say you got a forest, instead of just making a wood harvesting site on that, you're also going to have a couple choices on other buildings to put on that site. Maybe you want to buy your raw wood and make boards out of them and resell the boards for a profit. Or maybe you've got a lot of land and you plan on making this pyramid of production at the bottom and second level resource creation. And then you're going to actually make whatever that third level is, right? So we talked a lot about this back in the day, and this is more than a year ago at this point, because when around the point the Land 2.0 white paper came out, we talked a lot about it. I just haven't done a lot of videos about it because they haven't updated the white paper. It would be definitely worth a second look when he does update the white paper. And there's a lot of things that have changed. And, frankly, things do change, because a lot of this was just in the idea phase when they created that paper. And as time's gone along, this past year, they put a lot into the land game. A lot of different things now can be created off land that weren't necessarily imagined when the land white papers were written. So they've got to take that into account, and also take into account things they've learned along the way. Because as you get into this, I'm sure there's a lot of things that Cryptomancer, while he's a great developer, we're human. We learn things along the way. Some things work, some things don't work, and some things need to change. So to answer your question, I love the idea. One thing I haven't liked is I talked about it a few minutes ago about my evolution of improving our land workers, and I'm sure everybody who plays land has been doing this, right? Most people have been improving. I guess some people bought land and just let it sit and trying to resell it for a profit. But if you're playing the land game, you're probably trying to improve or shift around where your production is. And at certain points when they introduce things, maybe you're making research or maybe you're doing something else, but we're trying to improve overall. So I like the idea of the new potions, or what they call Phoenix Ash. Phoenix Ash wouldn't really be a potion. It would be a what do we call it in like a D&D game? It would be like a component, a spell component. But that's kind of being nitpicky. But I like the idea of being able to having another thing we can produce with land. And what I don't like is that 3-day cooldown. In this big circle, I just started talking about that 10 minutes ago, and I wrapped that back up. In my brain, I'm like, what was I talking about? But that 3-day cooldown we have, I don't like that. So I like the idea of being able to make a potion or this Phoenix Ash. I'm going to call it a spell component because that's what it is. Make the component to reduce our cooldown, because what happens is I like to only harvest my land once a week. And what'll happen is I will buy a better card, like a rare card, and shift it in for a common card. And my production will increase, but then I'll have to wait that 3 days on that common card that came off the land to recycle, right? And then I'll forget about it. And then I'll have to remember about that card the next week, So what this will help out, because in that situation I can just have some Phoenix Ash ready. I cycle the new card in. I use the Phoenix Ash, and then I can go ahead and put that other card on another piece of land before I forget about it. Okay, that's a lot of talking. Candid Athletic Training is here. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Love to see new names in the house. I know I run behind in chat. That's just the way I do it. I try to address what people are saying, and a lot of times I get off on tangents. OFG asks, what energy drink are you sipping? I had a Monster. I always drink sparkling ice caffeine, 0 sugar. I tend to like them. I don't drink a whole lot of them. I usually drink 2 a week, to tell you the truth. Usually one time during the week at work, and then when I'm on a stream on the weekend. Most other times I'm drinking coffee, but frankly, the coffee machine at work, I just get tired of it. So once a week I need to interrupt my coffee drinking with something different, I get spoiled. We've got a great coffee machine that works here at home, made by Philips. It's not cheap, but we've got our use out of it. It makes great coffee, and then when I go to work and that machine just kind of doesn't taste great. So Ike said Phoenix Ash. Yeah, we just talked about that. Doombot says Phoenix Ash will be great for moving things around land while I'm building up. Really annoys me with the 3-day cooldown. Same here, just like I just said. Gathering says, does that involve time crystals? Those are being overlooked. Didn't say anything about time crystals. But I will mention this, those people who are newer on land, and I know that Gathering mentions this frequently on his videos, his update videos. If you're newer to land and you find deals on time crystals, second party, buying them off the market, if you find good deals, get a little bit. And I'm not saying stock up a huge amount, but going into Land 2.0, when he starts going back to our building discussion, right? when we start building these new buildings, anytime you do a switch over from work site to building or from one building to another building, you're talking about production time. The time it takes your characters that are on that land to build that building or get switched over, okay? And the more production power you have on that land plot, the faster it's going to go. But excuse me, one of the side effects of drinking a carbonated drink when you're online is burping. But so having some time crystals will help you out with that time that takes to build that building up or get things changed over. And it's better to find them when you find a special, find a deal, just like anything else we look for on the secondary market. Somebody's selling off some time crystals, then you can use it to get your building up and running quicker. But you don't necessarily want to have to pay the game going rate for them if you can get them for a better deal. So it's good to have some. I'm not saying stock up a ton of them, but having some in reserve will help out if you're playing land. Gathering says, I need to get some of those. I don't like the 3-day cooldown either, talking about the Phoenix Ash. OFG says, no one tells Doombot, but I think I should buy this card that's on the market. What card? Ikey says he wants to add time crystals to the mix. Use them to make this pot. I don't understand. OFG said, commenting on Lady Sharon's first stream, said she did great for her first time on a live news setup. Yeah, as you can see on my various live streams, things go wrong, even if you've been doing it for years. You know, last week, Sunday, on my Atlas Earth stream, I forgot to even push the start stream button in YouTube because there's like a series of things you do to go live. And I had went ahead and thought I had went live, and I saw everybody chatting. I just started chatting and started talking, and I just forgot to click the button. Gathering says, are time crystals limited? I think you could only get them from buying plots when they first came out. You can buy them from the game as far as I know. Where's the shop? Consumables? Is it under consumables? No, they don't have it under consumables. I don't know. Anybody know where they are? You can't craft them. I thought for sure you buy time crystals off of the game. Somebody let me know in chat. I thought for sure you could buy time crystals off the game. I know it's an option when you go to change over, like, you know. When, let's see here. No, I don't want that. I want production. Say I went to change this over from now I'm trying to figure it out. I know it's an option and you can buy them off the game. I just can't prove it. Wibble says, is the beaver a good card? I really don't know how to answer that. Crypto Beaver says the beaver card is the best looking one for sure. Beaver pelt hats are good. One thing Ime showed me how to crop the window, and I did it for the setup, but then when I was practicing, I couldn't figure out how to do it again. Yeah, you'll run into a lot of that stuff. It just comes with practice. I'm looking down in chat to see if anybody had comment on the time crystals. OFG says beaver card prices have spiked a bit, I think. Yeah, I was thinking about buying one or leveling mine up to level 2. But I didn't. They're going for about the lowest level one is $1.98. So not cheap. Level 4 one will cost you $54. Level 4 $54 card gets you Reckless, Stun, and Protect. I like the card, but I can't say that that's a good use of $54. Willow says goes well with next summoner thingy. Crypto Beaver says the Beaver card is almost $2 per BCX. Crazy expensive. Would love to get to max, but cannot afford it. I completely agree with you. Hey, Beaker's in the house. Welcome, Beaker. Lady Sharon says, oh, I agree with that. I think I said that on my message on your end of your stuff. That Frontier just came out when I started playing, and I think would have been a bit lost without it. Yeah, it's a great addition. This past year, after Frontier launched, Frontier mode launched, we have had the greatest influx of new players, and not that it was a ton, but it was a lot more than what had been previously. So it definitely helped the game out. To be real with you, before that, we all knew that we needed this, and they had been talking about it in game for more than a year. It just takes, you got to plan it out. You got to get the right resources. You got to, this stuff doesn't just happen, especially with a small development team. You got to, plan it out. So Gathering says, keep building up your land resources, guys and gals. Buildings are coming soon, and I know it will take a lot of resources to just level 1 building. Yeah, because like I said, just like other games, you'll use resources to build a building on your land, and then that building will have various levels. So just like other games, you will have to level it up, and I'm assuming as you level up the building will either produce more or get more efficient or produce more with less resources, something like that. The buildings will get better. There will be a reason to level up your buildings. And like Gathering says, you will need resources to do that. So Bolt says, oh man, gave up on land months ago. Well, I always keep my eye on the land market every day. But it seems like the regions that I'm in don't have any cheap land. Like these are commons. I also look at rares too, because I've bought a few rares and found good deals on them and cycled them in and took my resources off the commons and put them on the rares. Same kind of idea. If you can find a good deal on a rare and you have resources, you could put, if you only have a set amount of resources in DEC, shifting that onto the rare would be better if it's the same type of plot, Gathering says, and you need a building on every plot. Yeah, and I mean, that's not even going into that whole idea we talked about where, as part of the, we could talk about a lot of things that are in the white paper that haven't happened yet, but, there was this whole idea where a plot of land could only store so much resources. And then if your resources was over that, then you had, then you had to buy on one of your plots, put an actual storage facility like a silo or something like that for grain and store your excess materials. So one plot would theoretically just be taken up by storage. There was also the idea where you could just own land, own storage, and rent your storage out to other people that needed it. So there's a lot of ideas that haven't come to fruition that will probably be part of this. They will have to consider whether they want to go ahead and do that or take it out of the white paper. Who knows? Haven't heard them talk about that specific idea lately, but that's definitely something we were talking about a couple years ago. Wibble says building on every plot is nuts. That means all cards will need fancy food, methinks. Well, and another idea, this is what Wibble is alluding to, is the idea of second level foods. So we have grain, right? One of the production facilities, buildings for grain, will take grain and other materials and produce specialized foods, which are aimed at each different type of building. So wood producing building would need a certain type of food, and so on and so forth. But that food has to go through the evolution of turning to grain. It takes other materials to be turned into it. And that could be what you do. You are manufacturing a second level food, a specialized food, which is much more efficient than just eating grain. So if you take, okay, let's just say example, you have grain, your workers can eat grain now. It takes X amount of grain. But if you produce bread out of that grain, which is a second level food for some kind of land, then you could make that bread and sell it to other people who use it on that particular land, and it will take a lot less bread to feed their characters versus just the grain. That's just an example. It's not, I haven't heard them talking about bread. It was just the first example that came to mind. But to me, I think we're at the risk of wanting to increase the complexity of the land game and making it too complex. That's what I'm thinking. Because I've thought about this a lot, and I like some complexity, but like with regular Splinterlands, something that's really kind of turned me off from the game lately is the over complexity of the new meta and that's why I don't really play a whole lot lately. It's why I stopped playing Magic the Gathering. Overly complex. So anyway, I'll leave that at that. I think there's a fine line between having complexity to it and being interesting and fun to play and worthwhile and too complex. So Ike says building in a box free. Well, like I said, if you can pick up a plot of land and it has building in a box on it, let's look here. So you can see these in Wake and Reserve are put up by Katakuri. Oh, they've been up for 23 days, but they have building in a box on it. These are this is an extra package for those people who are newer to the game. This is an extra package we had to buy back in the day. I believe it was, what, $10, something like that. And it had a few different things in it. And one of them is being able to produce a building. I believe it was either, I think it includes the materials and it immediately produced the building or something like that. Anyway, the first building you have when these new buildings come out, if the land has building in a box on it, it is going to be either immediate or a much quicker build of the building, and you might not have to pay for the materials. I'm not sure. It's been years since I went over the details of building in a box, but that's why I always say if you're buying a plot of land, it's the extra better deal if you find a plot of land for sale. One, I will say with the work site on it already, and two, with building in a box on it. Or unstable totem like this. So these plots here have building in a box and unstable totem. It basically is a temporary totem. It's 30, 60, 90 days, something like that. But it functions like a totem to give a base boost to your production when it comes out. But it's only temporary. It's not like doesn't last forever. So anything you can get extra on a land when you're buying it, it makes it a better deal. Because to my memory, correct me in chat if I'm wrong, but to my memory, each of these packages was like $5 or $10 to add on to the land. Doombot says, assume work sites will still produce something. Yeah, the works. I'm guessing. What I'm guessing is if you want to stick with first level production, like where we're at now, because I've put a lot of thought into this, and I feel that I may just stick with first level production because, like I said, I don't want to be overly complex. You know, there's some people that really get into that complexity of, grain to, whatever you're producing out of it, and all that goes into it. From what I see, the more complex you get, the more expensive you get. However, the more you stand to be able to sell that for on the back end. And that is all variable. This is not an investment channel. I am not an investor. I'm an investor, but I'm not an investment advisor. This is just game talk, right? I like to kind of keep it simple. And I was thinking, well, I might just be one of those people that produces first level ingredients, right? I might be that guy that produces grain and just sells it to the next guy to make bread out of it or whatever, and I might be happy with that. But to that point, Ike says building in a box was free. No, it wasn't free. No, it was not free. Building in a box had a charge originally. You had to pay for it. It was either $5 or a $10 fee to add it to your land to buy that package. I know that for sure. Yeah. So anyway, back to the point was work sites might be if you're producing first level, things like grain or wood. And then if you want to graduate, and my live stream page just went blank. I hope I am still... Okay, I hope the stream's still going well. Let me know in chat if I'm producing... my whole YouTube screen just went blank and had to reload. So I hope I'm back up and going. But yeah, I think that maybe if you're producing first level ingredients, maybe you stick with a work site, and maybe if you're going to produce anything past that, you have to build a building. That's my thoughts on that. Gathering says, I wonder if buildings will need refined resources, lumber as opposed to wood. That will be interesting. I don't know how that could happen, though. Because right at the beginning, unless they're going to allow us to change to a building, right at the beginning, there won't be any refined resources. Lady Sharon says, well, I certainly hope that people have already put money into something, at least get some start, because I certainly don't want to, after buying land, have to spend more money just to keep it working. Well, those are my thoughts. And keep in mind here, Sharon, as the evolution of land has went along, everything that come out, every new thing has cost me $5 or $10 to tack on to every single parcel. And, and even more, and a lot of people would argue, well, you didn't have to buy it. Yeah, that's a good argument, right? But to keep up with what everybody's doing and to be part of the game, yeah, you kind of have to, right? That's like I wanted to buy land cards. I wanted to get a max level common, but I'm not paying $700 or whatever dollars those are going for now. Yeah, $769 for a max level common land card. But the market will market, right? Okay, Gathering says, make sure you have the building you want on each plot. It will be expensive if you change your mind and want a different one. Yeah, anytime you change your mind to change things around in your land, it's going to cost you time and money. Let me take a minute to say, please leave a like and subscribe on the channel on this live stream if you haven't already. Helps the channel out. Appreciate it. Also, really appreciate the people who have become members of the channel. I just want to go ahead and announce that we will be having our second monthly members-only live stream. It will be the last Friday evening of the month. I put a little plug up in the channel announcements. If you want to become a member and join us, please do. It helps the channel. I appreciate it. Lady Sharon says, if they're changing work sites to buildings, then I kind of hope that they give land that already has a work site on a starter building. I don't know what the details are. And I got defeated. Okay. Else, they're screwing over people both like me, who has only a light amount in and only wants to play a light amount, and people like Bronze Dragon who have put thousands in if you suddenly can't use the land. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I've always thought that, you know, like I said, each new thing they come out with is just a new layer of cost, you know, so. By the way, I paused the video when I talk, so I unpaused to find him talking about the same thing I just mentioned, basically. Bolt says Splinterlands is getting too cute with the potions. Well, I think it's their answer to giving land players something to do and some value to the land they bought. So we went for a long time as land players with basically being able to do nothing with land. We were earning a little bit off of, you know, getting a little bit back, but there was nothing we could do. And they've gradually just added the resources you can make, and then they had to give us something to do with those resources. So it's been a continuing evolution, right? Gathering says Phoenix Potions will be a big seller. Probably will. Ike says I'll only use them for survival mode. Well, I will probably only use them for switching cards around on land. I did start playing survival mode, quote unquote, because Archmage supports survival mode when it's live. And I never allowed the bot to play in survival mode until they made the change that separates out the card when they separated out the modes. In other words, when survival mode originally started, you played survival mode, and if your card was knocked out, it was knocked out for everything. Okay, I didn't play during that. But when they did the separation so that if your card is knocked out of play, it's just knocked out in survival mode. It's not knocked out in, like I say, Archmage plays my my account in Wild as well. So OFG says, is Phoenix Ash going to be an instant cooldown cleanse or just speed up? Don't know. Can't answer that at this time. It's the idea is speed up. I don't know if it completely reduces it or not. Don friggin' nuts says, I just drink black coffee. Boring. You know, I drank black coffee when I was in the Navy. And black coffee, about the Navy black coffee, almost gave me an ulcer. And when I got out of the Navy, I didn't drink coffee for several years because of that and let my stomach heal. After that, I started drinking coffee with a little milk and sweetener in it. I use stevia these days. And I know especially guys who drink black coffee, are very in your face about it. Like, you're a wuss. You have something in your coffee. You're not drinking black coffee. You're not a man. And I'm like, you know, go to hell. Drink your black coffee. This is not to Don, right? This is just, I know there's a lot of guys out there who are very in your face and very adamant about drinking black coffee. And if you don't drink black coffee, you're not a man. So, but I drink coffee and I put milk in it and I put stevia in it. So there. Doombot says, think it's just a speed up, so not a complete, but it should help. And Ike says it's instant, so I guess we'll have to find out. Lady Sharon says, okay, well, so question is, on time crystals, is that a limited resource? Is that always being produced what they are provided for in the game? As far as I know, they have, as far as my experience has been, you can always buy time crystals off the market. However, I think this is the overarching point to it. The only reason you would probably have extra time crystals to sell on the secondary market is if you previously bought one of those packages and had extra time. There's some of those packages back then when we were getting land going that had time crystals in them. And some people bought these packages and maybe never used those time crystals. So I think the overarching idea is the only reason you would have extra time crystals to sell on the market at a lower cost than what the game is selling them is if you had those previous and just had them left over and were trying to get rid of them. I think that's the idea. Sharon says, I did actually buy another land. I did the math. If I buy enough land workers to be a power, it's more than the power core, which I think is still $5. Yeah, the power core is $5. I had not bought a power core yet. Yeah. Unless you put, there's an argument there for having a low level land card for power. So yeah, just something to think about. Yeah, the power core is $5. And if we go to land cards, just depending upon so it looks like for the rare one, you'd have to have a level 2. For the common one, you'd have to have a level 3. So it's just something to consider. If you had a level 2, if it was wood, or level 3 if it was grain, that does include the power core. Of course, at level 3, it's not very much production power whatsoever. So, give and take, right? So, Wibble says land production, top right, time crystals. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Wibble's right. Right up here in the right-hand corner, time crystals are created by the continuum to warp and manipulate time. They're useful for speeding up long-term activities. So if you click on that, you're led to the time crystal page, which is what I thought. And if you buy... Oh, no, that's just transfer time crystals. Oh, I have to click on the plus one. Yeah, if you just click on the time crystals, that's the transfer. If you click on the plus button, that means you want to buy them. So if you buy, okay, so one time crystal is 100 DEC. Follow me. I know this is refreshing me. I have not looked at these in months, if not a year. So one time crystal costs 100 DEC. And I forget what one time crystal is good for, how much time. I forget whether it's 10 minutes or I don't know. Either way, thanks for that. I knew in the back of my head that. Gathering says there's a good plot for you in Ravenwood, Bronze Dragon, if you need another grain plot. I think I saw one up for sale. I think it costs too much. Let's go to land. Let's see. We are in Ravenwood. Click for sale and click this. $25. Actually, that's not too bad. Does it have any buildings on it? That's a common. I don't really need any more grain in that region. I've got 3 extra plots there. See, these are the steps I go through when I'm looking at land. So Ravenwood is purple. We're looking at $25, so I have to scroll down. A lot at $20. If I was going in, I would go at like $19.99 just to get above those guys. Not that I'm selling any land. Okay, here's the plot. Not essentially a great deal, but it does have a grain farm. It does have building in a box and unstable totem. So I would say decent deal. Yeah, decent deal. I would think a better deal on that would be like $20, but thanks for pointing that out. I do have a lot of plots. Like I said, I got 3 plots sitting there that have nothing on them currently. I'm trying to get everything up and running and trying to avoid finding these deals, right? Gathering says I just need a fire magic plot, and then I will have all the magic types covered. I only have 2 magic plots. Gathering says, imagine the uproar if you couldn't feed workers with grain when that goes live. You have to use bread. I think the whole idea has been you can use grain. It's just the other, the second level foods, for lack of, I don't know the correct term, are going to be much more efficient, and you're probably going to want to use them from what they've talked about if you can. Okay, just scrolling through chat. We are at the bottom of the hour now. I want to say thank you for joining me for this episode of the Saturday Morning Stand-Up. I hope everyone has gotten the new year off to a good start. And until next week, this has been Bronze Dragon. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. Thanks for joining me. And until then, I will see you in Splinterlands.